we're catering to China, that's gonna happen again.
The countries this time. It's gonna be every fucking country in the world. It's gonna go to Chinese markets like, hey, Russia and America are crazy countries. Russia likes to invade its neighbors. America likes to tariff its neighbors. I guess China's the more reasonable country, so let's do business
They're gonna
with
be
them.
like, damn, I guess China's the less crazy country. What do you know?
Yeah.
Hey, and you know what's crazy? All the Asian countries are well disciplined, and like if you go to America, it's completely opposite.
Yeah.
Like the Philippines are well disciplined.
Yeah. But they have a lot of poverty issues and shit like that, so Philippines.
Countries that are about to get absolutely hammered are countries that exist in Southeast Asia. So if you want to know what the actual tariff rates are that these various Southeast Asian nations are charging the United States, the answer is not what President Trump is putting up there, which again is rooted in the trade deficits that we supposedly have with these various nations. If you want to know the answer, I did. So I asked my friends at Perplexity, sponsors of the show, what are the actual effective tariff rates Southeast Asian nations have against American goods? Not the Trump statistic, which is rooted in trade deficits. Also, please make a chart correlating the trade deficit or surplus those countries have with the United States with their GDP per capita. So, according to Perplexity, the actual effective
Oh, he's actually using the sponsor he was promoting. I actually like that. He's not bullshitting. He's actually using a sponsor as a way to further the video. That's pretty, okay. I respect that. Okay, he's actually using the product. There we go.
Rates imposed by Southeast Asian nations on American goods vary significantly across countries.
Capitalism to its finest.
Yes, capitalism to its finest. So we're going to miss capitalism because Trump is doing the opposite of capitalism. He's doing retardedism, which is he's taking us to like the mercantilist past, like where it's like a country by itself and they isolate themselves from the rest of the world and they don't do trade. Like this is like Trump is taking us to
the North Korea path.
Yeah, he is taking us North Korea. It's the word is called autocracy. Autocracy. It's AUTARKY. It's basically like it's a country that is completely self-sufficient on its own with no other country by itself, and it just gets all of its resources.
We have too many people to be self-sufficient on its own.
It's not. No, that's not the issue. Actually, it's actually the opposite. First world countries actually have a lower population. Our populations have actually been decreasing because the birth rates have been decreasing because like the issue is not about the demographics. The issue is the resources, materials, goods and services, and overall prosperity and productivity is better with trade than it is with an autocracy. Right, that's the reason why, because it's like you can't isolate yourself forever. That's what Japan did in the 1600s all the way to the 1800s. And when America came with advanced weapons and the Europeans came with advanced weapons, they forced Japan to either sink or swim. And Japan chose to swim, while countries like China, they fucking sank because they didn't adopt modern technologies. Because they got isolated. They became isolated, so the rest of the world became more advanced. And as a consequence, when the rest of the world becomes more advanced, if they ever want to invade you, or at the very least, if they ever want to bully you into submission, they could do so easily because you have zero technology. Your technology is more primitive. So, you know, that's why isolating yourself is not a smart idea. You know, despite what Black Panther Wakanda told you, you can't be an isolated society and prosper. That's not how it works. It's completely false.
Exaggerated and based on trade deficits rather than real tariff structures. According to the WTO, Vietnam's average most favored nation tariff rate is approximately 9.4%.
Oh my god, please, ads. I'm getting harassed by his ads and the ads from YouTube. Holy shit.
Nation tariff rate is approximately 9.4%. Now remember, according to the Trump statistic, the average tariff rate that's being charged by Vietnam, the effective tariff rate, is 90%. Okay, so 10 times what the actual tariff rate is what the Trump administration is claiming. Asian nations like Indonesia, Malaysia, impose average MFN rates, most favored nation rates, of 7.5% and 5.6%, respectively. Those numbers are far lower than the inflated numbers presented by the Trump administration. Now, as to trade deficits that we have with these various countries, the answer is because they're poor, they generate cheap product, like in Vietnam, your t-shirt's probably made in Vietnam, and they have no money. So we run a $95 billion trade deficit with Vietnam. Their GDP per capita is $4,200, $4,200.
So like the average Vietnamese person's like making like $400, $200 a year, right? Well, like the average American makes like about like 55 to 60K a year. So the average American's like $60,000 a year. Well, the average Vietnamese is making $4,200 a year. So there's a, let's just say there's a big disparity with the income. So I mean, obviously Vietnamese buy less than we buy from them because we have more money. So you know, it's just like.
Okay. So what are we gonna do? Chisel that out of them?
Yeah.
Precisely.
Pay more, motherfucker. Just give us more. give us more money.
$95 billion trade deficit because we want to buy their t-shirts. Same thing with, say, the Philippines. We have a $5 billion trade deficit with the Philippines. And the GDP per capita in the Philippines is $3,700. Meanwhile, Singapore, right, which Singapore is getting hit with a 10% tariff, by the way, for no reason, because we actually have a trade surplus with Singapore. They have a $10 billion trade deficit with the United States. How can Singapore afford that? I mean, aren't we just screwing them? I mean, obviously, according to...
Jackson, did you hear that? The Singapore, they have a trade surplus with us. I think he's in the game session. He's in the game
No,
session.
I just escaped. Woo! I barely escaped.
Bro, the data, what it shows, Singapore, right, is really rich Asian country, very prosperous tax haven. A lot of people like to go there, conduct business, all that kind of stuff, right? And the average GDP per capita in Singapore is $72,000 a year, much higher than the average American, right? So Singapore, they have a trade surplus with us, meaning they buy more from us than we buy from them because they're richer. But you know what's even funnier is that Trump put a tariff on them anyways.
Oh my God.
He put a tariff on. They don't even have a trade deficit. We have a trade deficit with them. And they still put a tariff. So, you know what this tells the world is that no matter what you fucking do, he's going to tax you. So what the fuck is even the point of negotiating? Singapore has a trade surplus with us, and Trump is like, nah, I'm still going to fucking tariff you. What the fuck? Oh, what about Singapore, sir? Yeah, fucking tariff them anyways. But they have a trade surplus. Whatever, fuck them. I don't care. Yeah, it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, with a 10% tariff, by the way, for no reason, because we actually have a trade surplus with Singapore. They have a $10 billion trade deficit with the United States. How can Singapore afford that? I mean, aren't we just screwing them? I mean, obviously, according to this logic, we're screwing them. If they have a trade deficit with us, must be that we're jobbing them in some way. The reason that they can have a trade deficit with us is because, wait for it, their GDP per capita is $72,000. So again, none of this is rooted in economic reality, and the biggest problem is there's no way to sort of get out of the box that's been created by these statistics, because if you were saying lower your tariff rates, and if the tariff rate is already zero or close to it, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
So one of the things that happened during the pandemic is knowing that the Chinese were bad actors. Many producers started shifting their supply chains out of China and into other nearby countries, like, for example, Vietnam, believing the United States would punish China, but not Vietnam. Well, now the new tariffs slam Vietnam with a 46% tariff. So, why don't you shift your production back to China? More importantly, if you're the EU and you're not getting wrapped by the United States with a gigantic tariff, or if you're Canada and you're getting absolutely ravaged by an American tariff, you need markets for your goods. Where are you going to go? Maybe to a country that is perfectly willing to militarize capitalism on behalf of fascism, the Chinese.
Yeah.
The Chinese are about to make extraordinary inroads in Southeast Asia. They're about to make extraordinary inroads in Europe and in Canada.
I mean, Chinese are not really fascist. They're more like socialistic. They're a state capitalist country, but whatever. It's, you know.
Because it turns out when America withdraws from the world and basically declares a trade war on literally everyone, including, by the way, an island with no people.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
This is a thing. Included in the list of places that President Trump is going to tariff. I wish I were kidding. I'm not kidding. Included in this list is, in fact, the Heard and McDonald Islands. We are hitting the Heard and McDonald Islands with a 10% tariff. The Heard and McDonald Islands include 0 people. Include penguins. We're hitting the Screw them penguins.
Jackson, so you heard that? he's tariffing an island that has penguins that has 0 people. So people have been making memes on the internet. When you're doing your moment compilation, your video compilation, you have a lot of source material, bro. You have a lot of thanks to Daddy Trump, you have a lot of fucking things you can go on. You can make like almost half of it just with Trump references of the tariffs. Just because of, you should put that like there's tariffs on penguins. Penguins ripping US off.
Yeah, we always knew them penguins were up to something.
They don't give us anything.
Penguins. Stupid
Like,
penguins.
yeah, this is like like, you know when people say that like Trump must be a Russian op because there's no way he could be this stupid, but like even a Russian op wouldn't be this stupid. So the reality is he's just fucking retarded. Like this is just a retarded man surrounded by retarded people ruling a retarded government, destroying a country that has some redeemability into a country that will eventually become a retarded, unredeemable country that's not even worth living in. Like that's the world we live in right now. It's not like some secret Illuminati where it's like a, you know, these like people who are like malicious or they're living in the shadows and they're very smart, intelligent people. It's like, no, these are stupid fucks running our government. That's the world we live in. The penguins. Those fucking penguins.
Okay, so
The McDonald Island.
what exactly is this
Ben is like
designed to do? Again, it is predicated on a bad idea of how international trade works. I've said this 1,000 times, this is not coming from a place of, I want Trump to fail. It's coming from a place of, if he engineers a recession based on these sorts of tariffs, which seems increasingly likely if you were to stick with this, if he were to do that sort of thing, all of the amazing things that need to happen and that he is pursuing and that his administration is filled with good people who want to do, all that stuff goes by the wayside. A bad economy kills everything around it.
Yep.
It is the neutron bomb of politics.
that's what happened to Biden, the whole inflation. Biden lost because of inflation. And you know, the Trump lost last time because of COVID, and you know, Bush lost because of 2008, so you know.
If you drop the neutron bomb of politics, a recession, into the lap of this administration, it doesn't just destroy this administration's economic agenda. It destroys the administration wholesale. That is what happens in American politics. Recessions destroy administrations. And by the way, everyone close to them, all the tech bros, get destroyed. All of the business people get destroyed. It's really important not to self-engineer a bad economy. Really quite important. It is frustrating at the very least, because this has not been well justified by literally anyone, including members of the Trump administration. JP Morgan put out its forecast, quote, on a static basis, today's announcement would raise just under $400 billion in revenue, or about 1.3% of GDP, which would be the largest tax increase since the Revenue Act of 1968. We estimate that today's announced measures could boost PCE prices by 1 to 1.5% this year. We believe the inflationary effects would be mostly realized in the middle quarters of the year. So, in other words, inflation will start ticking up again fairly significantly. The resulting hit to purchasing power could take real disposable personal income growth in both the second and third quarters into negative territory. And with it, the risk that real consumer spending could also contract in those quarters. This impact alone could take the economy perilously close to slipping into recession. That's before anyone else tries to punish us for punishing them.
Yeah.
This is before, according to JP Morgan, accounting for the additional hit to gross exports and to investment spending. Headlines about retaliatory measures by U.S. trading partners are already coming out. We expect to learn more in coming days. The somewhat confusing nature of today's news, coupled with uncertainty over how long these tariffs will remain in place, should make for an even less
Bro
friendly
really
environment
said,
for investment spending.
I'm the first president that never started a war, then starts a trade war
By the way,
in
you
his
know who
second
else
term.
is upset? The manufacturers. This was supposed to save the manufacturers, right? You heard President Trump saying, we are going to bring manufacturing back to the United States. Here is a statement from the National Association of Manufacturers President and CEO, Jay Timmons, quote, needless to say, today's announcement was complicated, and manufacturers are scrambling to determine the exact implications for their operations. The stakes for manufacturers could not be higher. Many manufacturers in the United States already operate with thin margins. The high cost of new tariffs threaten investment, jobs, supply chains, and in turn, America's ability to outcompete other nations and lead as the preeminent manufacturing superpower. Manufacturers build things in America to sell around the world, and manufacturers in America share President Trump's goal of supporting manufacturing, investment growth, and expansion here at home. To empower manufacturers to drive the economy, the administration should minimize tariff costs for manufacturers investing and expanding in the United States, ensure tariff-free access to critical inputs manufacturers use, secure better terms for manufacturers by negotiating zero-for-zero tariffs.
Ah, fuck that shit. We don't. Fuck those. What fuck would the manufacturers say?
The
Trump knows the way.
They're screwing
Fuck
us,
the
dog.
penguins. Yeah, they're fucking penguins are screwing us. They're taking away something. What are we trading with them again? I don't know. Whatever. We don't remember what we're trading with them, but the point is they're fucking rich as fuck.
In other words, bring the tariffs down, not
They
increase them.
took our jobs!
The Penguin! They took the manufacturing jobs! They took it! Oh, God.
Took our
really-
jobs! The fucking South Park dude.
Yeah, they're taking our job, the red hair guy. They're taking our jobs!
Took our jobs!
Bro, you know what's funny as fuck is like, if we have kids, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna explain this time period in American history. If we get out of this alive, assuming, like, imagine the history book, they teach this shit to our children. It's like, okay, so in 2025, Donald J. Trump implemented tariffs, and the reason why, it's like, well, he was retarded. So that's, I don't know how they're gonna explain this in the history books. Like, how are they gonna explain this? It's like, what the, like, historians are gonna be scratching their heads, like, what the fuck was this for? Did the American IQ decline during this time period? I think there was a decline in the intelligence. I don't. It's like,
Huh, what do you know? TikTok came out and then the American
Oh.
intelligence went down?
yeah, think about it. TikTok came out 2019, I believe, or 2018, right? Then 2020 happened, and we started dramatic conspiracy theories and fucking retardedness. I don't know. Maybe that's the problem. TikTok. Interesting.
The National Association of Manufacturers saying that. We'll get to more in a moment. First, the Grand Canyon University.
Oh,
private Christian
fuck it.
university
No,
is
fuck Christian. I don't care about Christian school. You're a Jew, Benno. I don't know even why you're advocating for that. They wanted to kill you back in the day, so fucking
Arizona
not.
believes we are involved 20 right minute. Start showing up in your
A
mail.
second
Start
ad.
signing up. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use my promo code Shapiro250 or click on the link in the description. Make sure to check out the $1 million triple lock protection details when you get there. That's HomeTitleLock.com.
Another
promo
ad,
code
bitch.
Shapiro250. Get the protection of peace of mind. And so, President Trump, again, he was laying these out. He's very enthusiastic about it yesterday in the Rose Garden. He tried to suggest that if tariffs are so bad, why do other people do them? Here he was.
Yeah, this is how they justify it. They say, oh, they're doing it to us, so we do it to them. But the problem is not even true. It's false. It's fake numbers. So this is the bullshit. You're gonna have people say they tariff us. And it's like, which they don't tariff us. They tariff the consumers that buy American products. But whatever. They tariff us. It's like, bruh, are those numbers real? Why do you trust the government all of a sudden? Weren't you criticizing the government when Biden was in charge? Why did you just change your... Why are you now trusting everything the government says now? Isn't that kind of a little suspicious? Like, isn't that kind of a pivot right there? Why would you trust the White House and what they fucking say?
Let's try and make this case.
If you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here, we didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less, so how can anybody be upset?
Okay, so then he said, if imposing tariffs and protective barriers actually made us poorer, then why would other countries be doing it? Here was President Trump saying.
Yeah, so they say like, oh, they're doing it, so how come they're not poor? Like that's the argument,
That's
right?
like
So it's
so
like,
childish.
yeah, I mean,
They're
it's
doing it, mommy!
It's like, you know.
We charge 2.8% for so many things that other countries are charging 200%, 300%, and 400%.
He's just making up numbers. He's literally making shit up. You see how he can do this? He just makes up fake fucking numbers. They're charging, who is charging 400% on American, maybe North Korea, I guess. Maybe, I didn't know they mattered so much. I mean, you know, we need the North Korean products, I guess. I guess that's very important to Trump. You know, we need those Iranian products. You know, they're very important to us. So.
For if imposing tariffs and protective barriers made nations poor, then every country on earth would be racing to eliminate these policies, and China would be the first online. They run a very strong country.
Okay, well, actually, as it turns out, many countries have spent the last couple of centuries eliminating many of these policies. And maybe we should take a look at what he's saying. Here is a chart. It shows that actually the countries that have, for example, as a general matter, the lowest tariff rates are also the countries with, wait for it, the highest GDP per capita. Why, it turns out that richer countries have been steadily lowering their tariff rates. And many of the poorest countries on Earth have really, really high average tariff rates, including, by the way, Madagascar and Burundi and the Central African Republic.
So basically, the richer the country is, the lower they have tariffs. They have 0% tariffs, or they have the lowest tariffs. Well, the poorer country is, they have high tariffs. So it's actually the opposite. So Trump is like making the argument, oh, how come they don't get rid of tariffs if they're so rich? Or if it's so bad, right? It's like, well, because they did get rid of tariffs. So it's like, it doesn't even serve the argument.
But it's almost as though tariff rates actually decrease wealth because tariffs increase prices and reduce trade and all the things that tariffs are designed to do. Now, President Trump suggested that the tariffs are kind and they are generous and they are friendly. Here he was saying that the tariffs are kind because it's only half the rate that other countries are charging us, but as we've already discussed, and herein lies the problem, those aren't the real tariff rates.
For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people, but we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So the tariffs will be not a full reciprocal.
Okay, here is the actual thing. Those are not the real tariff
What
rates.
the fuck is he even saying?
How to calculate.
That's Trump for you. He just says shit, and then it's like he literally says nothing. Like he says all these sentences, and he just says nothing. It's just like
It's not right. The reason it matters is because if the goal was to get other countries to lower their tariffs, which I'm totally fine with, I would love it. That would be great. If that was the goal, then you can't tariff countries that have no tariffs on us, or we already have a free trade agreement. If we're using trade deficits to calculate...
You know what's funnier? He started, when he did the tariffs, he literally started with the countries we have 0% tariffs with, and the most friendly countries to our interests, which is Mexico and Canada, which we have a trade deal agreement with. Isn't that kind of fucking retarded? Like, how he started with those two countries, and just like... And you know what's even more retarded? Is that, you know the trade deal that was that replaced NAFTA, that was called the USMCA in 2020, that was created? You know who created that trade deal? None other than Senor Donald Trump, who created the USMCA, the current trade deal that we have with Mexico and Canada. He's now bitching, complaining about all the rates, all the quotas we have on that, when that's the trade deal he literally created. So it's like, this is Trump's trade deal. And he's complaining about it, and it's like, what? Anyways.
Fake tariff rate and using that as the margin of tariff on those countries, there's literally no way for them to forestall the tariffs you are putting on their country, other than by presumably getting the people of Madagascar to somehow buy millions of dollars of American product.
No,
Or the
billions.
people of Ethiopia
Buy
buy
millions.
billions of dollars of American product. GDP per capita, Ethiopia, $950 a year.
This ain't my first rodeo.
By the way, the actual tariff rates among the biggest countries in the world are actually fairly low. According to the World Trade Organization, the United States has a trade-weighted average tariff rate of 2.2% in 2023. That's compared with 2.7% for the EU, 1.9% for Japan, 3.4% for Canada, 3.3% for China, and 1.7% for Switzerland. I mean,
And most of these are quotas, so it's not even tariffs are affected. But even if they were, like, you could just negotiate specific products that are being tariffed and say, hey, can you lower that? That's what a good businessman would do. Not put just like, unanimous bilateral tariff on everybody. Even countries that have 0% tariffs with us, or even countries that have a good trade deficit, since that apparently matters to them, which it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's just so retarded. It's so retarded.
if the goal is to get the tariffs lower, then maybe we should do that. Okay. Maybe that should be the actual goal here.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should do.
Yeah.
Well, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, he was asked about all of this. And his basic perspective is, it's not clear how long these tariffs are going to last, how they're going to be implemented. As we'll get to in a moment, there are already exemptions that are being put out there for the tariffs by the Trump administration, like immediately. Here was the Treasury Secretary.
These are our closest allies, South Korea, Japan. When you look at those countries and the tariffs that they're being charged, if they're calling, what would you say to those nations who may have concerns about how to lower these numbers?
Well, I would say they've been doing it to us for a long time. But, and if they don't like tariffs, then why do they have them?
And should we view these as permanent?
That, again, I think we're going to wait and see how this plays out.
Steve Bonnet, he's the Secretary of the Treasury, by the way, if you don't know. So he's like, this is like one of the highest positions in the cabinet. So he's in charge of like the Treasury Department managing money and all that kind of stuff. So, there you go. The finances and economics of the country.
Okay, we're going to wait and see how this plays out, is the hope of all markets everywhere, because the markets are sending pretty strong signals they don't like it very much. By the way, by them only. Now, again, this notion that Americans are just, they hate foreign trade, they hate it with a pet. Gallup poll, 2025. What do you think foreign trade means for America? Do you see foreign trade more as an opportunity for economic growth, increase through U.S. exports, or a threat to the economy from foreign imports? 81% opportunity for economic growth. 14% threat to the economy. I have a basic rule in politics. Do not take the 20 side of 80-20 issues. Unless there's like a great moral reason to do so, don't do it. It's not a good idea. So, what exactly is the Senate going to do? Well, the Senate voted on a resolution that says that they're going to try to seize back power from the executive branch over tariffs like this. It would require action in the House to actually stop this. I doubt that that's going to happen anytime in the near future. The Republican Party is, of course, very much split over this. Nobody wants to go up against the Trump administration on this. This is the purview of Congress.
Yeah, this is the thing. Congress could stop him right now, but the problem is that Republicans, like, if you want to be a Republican politician and you want to be successful, you have to suck on Trump's cock. Like, there's no other option. If you fucking go against Trump, you're done as a Republican. Today, the Republican Party is the Mawa Party, and it's a cult party for one man. That's all it is. There's no way around it. So until Dems win the midterms next year, this is just what we're gonna have to deal with. So
clear. What President Trump is doing should never, if it was ever delegated by Congress to the executive, that's insane, and it probably wasn't. It's not a national emergency that justifies one of the biggest tax increases on American consumers in the history of America. It is a very, very, it does not.
Oh, fuck it. Trump taxed this. Tariff this product immediately. Tariff. I'm getting fucking ads saying don't jerk off to Pornhub. Fucking tariff that one, please.
It does not justify that. There is no national emergency.
Why would you when you can use X videos? They block them.
Exactly. Yeah, fuck that shit. I don't need to fucking tariff that.
As the United States buys more product from Thailand than we sell to Thailand. That is not, in fact, a national emergency. Again, there are many reasons why tariffs can be good. Tariffing China to punish that, try and cut them off from the world economy, good. This, by the way, is also why
I don't think that I would disagree with, because I don't think that tariffs are going to cut off China's economy. People are going to deal with China regardless, right? Like, I guess you want to say sanctions, but sanctions would have a negative effect for us, at least in the short run. And, it would affect American consumers negatively because we depend on China a lot more than we depended on Russia. And even when we sanctioned Russia, that had a negative effect on agricultural prices and gas prices, and we didn't depend on Russia that much, and they already had a negative shock. So I can imagine what sanctioning or tariffing China, large bilateral tariffs on China would do for, like, in a negative sense. It's already, like, putting a 10%, 20% tariff on all Chinese products alone, that in itself is retarded, okay? Trump is doing every country in the world, which makes it beyond the word retarded. If there's a word that can express what is the definition of stupidity, like the pure, if there's a word that's like the pure sense, this is what it is. It's just like, it's beyond that. But like, I don't think tariffing China works. I think what you should do is set up trade deals with other countries to move up shop and to have Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Philippines, Indonesia be the new centers of manufacturing, so you could bring even more cheaper labor, and these companies can have an even more cheaper cost for manufacturing, and they can move away from China, and China becomes less economically prosperous because the markets are going more to those countries. That would be a better way instead of using tariffs, but whatever.
And free trade agreements with all the nations that rim China.
Oh, okay, he said free trade, okay. I mean, you could just do the free trade without the tariffs, but I mean, yeah, whatever, so.
Tariffs for purposes of protecting national security-laden industries in
Yes,
the United States.
yes.
Good and useful.
Yes. Yeah, Jackson, this is really one of the only reasons why tariffs could be really good is for national security reasons. So, for example, let's say we depend heavily on oil from another country that is a threat to us, that is trying to invade us, right? Us putting tariffs on their oil so we can use more domestic oil for us to be more dependent on other oil from other countries is good because although economically it's not good, national security-wise, it could protect us from being heavily dependent on that country. So if that country ever wants to invade us, we're not in a shitty position where we heavily depend on their resources or their products or whatever. So putting tariffs on Chinese products that are like chip manufacturing products or electric vehicles, I think those are good if they serve the purpose of national security. So if we get to a war with China, we're not going to be heavily dependent on China as we would be if we were dependent on those things. So the tariffs could be good for those reasons, right? But that's not what Trump is doing. So.
Can't have outsourcing if, God forbid, we need to produce things for a war or a pandemic or whatever. Tariffs in order to get other countries to drive down their own. Fine and good. But the tell to me
Whatever.
here is, again, I go back to this.
Reciprocal tariffs don't really work. They're just kind of dog shit, so it's just whatever.
If the idea is to get other...
Like, I think tariffs are just pretty much good just for national security reasons. Just for national security, I think that's what tariffs should be used for. Is that if we are heavily dependent on another country that may be a threat to our own interests or threat to our own safety, then we should probably tariff those products so that way we don't have to rely on them as much. That's really the only reason. Other than that, I don't see the purpose of tariffs. I think they're just kind of a shitty... Like, they were shitty when Biden was doing them. They were shittier when Trump did them the first round. They're still shittier now, like, you know. So. Except for the national security stuff, of course, so.
Lower their tariffs. If this is raise the tariffs to lower the tariffs, then why are we charging tariff rates on countries that don't have tariffs against us? Why? That's the tell. And so the question...
Because they're working with the penguins.
what this actually looks like in practice.
Yeah, they're fucking colluding together. They're taking our jobs away. Taking our jobs! I'm gonna find the South Park clip later. As I finish the video. They're taking our jobs!
Now, I've been a little bit catastrophist about this because I'm taking the Trump administration at their word. The reality is I don't think that this thing gets implemented anything like it is currently being retailed to the public. I think in reality, the Trump administration is likely to bulldoze holes right through this tariff regime in the areas that it figures is going to most hurt Americans, and is likely to try and leverage headlines out of various foreign nations suggesting they're going to invest in America to the tune of some billions of dollars before lowering the tariff rates again. Because, as I've said before, I do have faith that President Trump actually responds to headlines and responds to the news. He lives in the world of reality, and it would not be living in the world of reality.
Ben, are you sure about that? I don't think Trump lives in reality. If he lived in reality, none of this would have happened. What the? I think that's been very clear since 2016. Trump doesn't live in reality, and it was ultra clear when he was talking about the cats and dogs being eaten by Haitians and fucking like that. It's pretty fucking clear Trump doesn't live in reality. So Ben, I think you're a little naive.
Reality for him to simply ignore if markets hate all of this, if costs start going up, if a recession is imminent. He does not want to preside over a recession, which is why, again, I think this policy is misbegotten. I also think President Trump is not going to implement it as currently stated.
We'll see about it.
What does this actually mean in practice? Well, the White House...
Will he back out again, or will he go through? Who knows?
Quietly put out a fact sheet.
He's sticking to it right now. It's still in effect, and he's still he hasn't backed up yet. So I don't know. I think he's committed now. I think he's sticking to it.
Yesterday, to all of its embassies, talking about what exactly President Trump is doing. So apparently, the tariffs will remain in effect until such a time as President Trump determines the threat posed by the trade deficit and underlying non-reciprocal treatment is satisfied, resolved, or mitigated. So he can unilaterally decide, hey, we solved the trade deficit, all done. So presumably, what does that mean? That means you get a few announcements from various countries saying that we're going to invest in the American economy. And then President Trump's like, big headline win, tariff gone. He could easily do that. I'm hoping that's what he is planning on doing. Also, there are some very key goods that are not actually going to be subjected to the tariffs, including, by the way, steel and aluminum articles, and auto parts, already subject to Section 232 tariffs. Copper, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, and lumber articles. Okay, well, this shows you the bizarreness of this sort of tariff regime. One of the things tariffs were allegedly designed to do was reshore manufacturing of key components, like, for example, semiconductors. Semiconductors are basically the oil of the 21st century. They're the thing no one can operate without.
Yep.
So if you actually wanted to reshore...
And semiconductors, just to give, like, they're like called semiconductors because they can both conduct electricity and insulate at the same time. And they're like elements, mainly silicon is like the main semiconductor in the world, and silicon's like the basis, like semiconductor. I'm sorry, semiconductors are the like stuff like, you know, like CPUs, for example, GPUs, you know, all the microprocessing chips that you think of, those are like semiconductors where they like conduct information for like computers, for cell phones, for, you know, console games, like literally everything you use right now is powered by semiconductors. So semiconductors, as Ben Shapiro has stated, is the oil of the 21st century. It is the most amazing inventions we have ever invented as a species. So, you know.
Through tariffing and protectionism.
And tariffing Taiwan is the most retarded shit in the fucking world. I don't know why the fuck this dumbass is tariffing a country that is manufacturing all of our semiconductors. Where they're doing us a favor. They manufacture those semiconductors and they ship it back to us, and it's like, you know, it's like, bro, like, what the fuck?
Manufacturing of semiconductors, you would leave the tariffs on the semiconductors, but he doesn't want to do that because it'll radically increase the price of every product that uses a semiconductor, ranging from your phone to your fridge. So he's exempting that. All articles...
Oh, he's exempting the semiconductor. Okay. That's smart. Okay. He's exempting the semiconductor. Woof. That gets me.
He's exempting it?
Yeah, he's exempting the semiconductor.
He at least had somewhat of a brain.
Yeah, or he had some people advising him, telling this is fucking retarded.
Look,
this is gonna
they were probably like advising him, make sure you exclude semiconductors as much as possible.
Yeah, because CPUs, GPU, that's literally everything. Everything in our world is relying on those microprocessing chips. You don't have semiconductors, you are done as a country. You're nothing. So.
Bring the semiconductors. You would leave the tariffs on the semiconductors, but he doesn't want to do that because it'll radically increase the price of every product that uses a semiconductor, ranging from your phone to your fridge. So he's exempting that. All articles that may become subject to future Section 232 tariffs, bullion, and energy, and other certain materials that are not available in the United States. So we're still going to be importing that Canadian gas, presumably, which, by the way, is the reason we have a trade deficit with Canada. But we have trade surplus for literally everything else except for gas. Like, if you take away the gas in the American balance of trade with Canada, we have a surplus with Canada. Meanwhile, USMCA compliant goods will continue to see a 0% tariff. Non-USMCA compliant goods will see a 25% tariff. Non-USMCA compliant energy and potash will see a 10% tariff. Again, I do not think this policy is the long-lasting, durable, strictly imposed policy that is currently being laid out by the White House. I think President Trump is going to see how the markets react. He's not going to like it, and he's going to start punching holes through this pretty much as fast as possible. But Democrats finally got their talking point. All they had to do was wait, and now they got it. Yeah. The Democrats are saying the recession is a-coming.
Yeah, do nothing, win. I guess that strategy does work, you know, do nothing, win. Let your enemies fuck themselves in the ass because they're fucking retarded.
It is recession day, says Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader. Remember, Republicans have the barest of bare majorities in the House.
The Democrats are going to win the House next year. They guarantee the House is going to go Democrat. The Republicans are going to lose the House at the very least. They might even lose the Senate, but at the very least they're going to lose the House. It's 100% sure. So
that's just one. The Wisconsin Supreme Court, which means that they are going to redistrict and add a couple of seats. So if there's any sort of recession at all, mildest recession, Democrats are taking the House. Here's Hakeem Jeffries looking more excited than he has in months.
Not a single administrative action has been done by Donald Trump, House Republicans or Senate Republicans to lower the... In fact, Republicans are crashing the American economy in real time and driving us to a recession. This is not Liberation Day, it's Recession Day.
Recession Day.
Well, he's certainly hoping it is. And herein lies the problem. They've been rooting for recession. I mean, Democrats are rooting for recession. So the number one thing you don't want to do is, jump on a rake. Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, who's been on the outs with his own party, he's looking pretty fresh and peppery as well in the aftermath of the announcement.
Hey, Ben 10 Shapiro's so mad. He's like, fuck these Democrats. Oh, he is so mad.
This map has how much each state would pay for this absurd, crazy, chaotic trade war.
Yeah.
But the worst thing about it is that it so hurts American families. It is estimated that the average American family will pay more than $5,000 out of their pocket to pay for these tariffs.
Meanwhile, James Carville jumping on the bandwagon and torching President Trump over the tariff regime.
It's just Trump going power mad. He gets in there and he figures, I don't have to get approval from Congress. I don't need to bring it to a cabinet. I can just do this. And so the idea that he can just do something on his own unilaterally has great appeal to him. And then, of course, everybody's got to call him to get, because you can exempt people. And so he likes getting you. The thing, he loves having foreign people call and say, hey, can you exempt, finished steel from these tariffs or whatever it is. And it's all just a play. There's no policy behind it. It's just his ego playing itself out in public.
Now, let's say that that's right. Let's say that President Trump actually is able to get a bunch of countries to announce that they are reshoring American manufacturing or that they're going to lower their own tariffs. Okay, so he gets the win. If the proof is going to be in the pudding, as it always is, because the thing about economics, you can feel it in your pocketbook. Economic policy, you feel it at your kitchen table. Economic policy is the thing that you can tell every time you open up your grocery bill.
Yep.
Every single time.
Or in this case, your stock market. When you look at your Robinhood and you see, wow, I lost a lot of my fucking stocks. Maybe it's not doing so well.
So, the proof's going to be in the pudding. If the prices go up, if your business is having trouble making payroll, if consumption goes down, if investment goes down because investors are freaked out because they're getting whipsawed like nobody's business. Again, I was talking with investors pretty much all day yesterday, given what was going on. And the number one thing that I was hearing from major investors is, I don't know what the hell is going on. That was the number one thing. Before and after. The amount of confusion.
You want to know something fucking hilarious?
A feeling of...
What?
So I have this perk on Maria, right?
Yeah.
Where I can find a fuse box or the valve thing, right? And then I have another perk that tells me where to exactly go as soon as I grab it, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as I use both and it tells me as soon as I leave the basement, right? So it it only tells me one time, but all I need is that one time to go grab it. I literally grabbed it and just sat and waited in front of the fuse box in a bush until all three family members were like doing something, and then I just went real quick, opened it, did the fuse, did the little math puzzle, and then escaped. I was literally like a rat. Like, they literally, two of them, like, fucking touched me, and they didn't even fucking notice that I was right there in the bush.
Fucking crazy.
Complete dyspeptic, ulcer-ridden kind of churn. That is very real, and that is not good for markets, because there's a bunch of money sitting on the sidelines waiting to be invested. There's a bunch of economic growth ready to go. So, again, the markets are reacting as you would expect the markets to react. They opened just in the trash heap this morning when the bell sounded to open the market. The Dow Jones...
Hey, you know what's funny? Trump did the announcement before the market opened, so he did the market right when the markets were closed. Right, so he did the announcement. That way people wouldn't check the stock market, and then the day after, you see the stocks fall down.
Industrial average plummeted immediately more than 1,000 points. The S&P 500 plummeted more than 3%. The NASDAQ plummeted almost 4.5%. That was on open. Now, CNBC actually obtained audio of the CEO of Restoration Hardware, whose stock got pummeled this morning on open. He was doing a call with his investors, and it was an open call, and here was his reaction to what was going on in the markets when he found out what had happened to his stock.
Do we have that sound, Bill?
Yeah.
So Gary Friedman's on the call, and apparently is notified in the middle of the call that his stock was down 25%. Take a listen.
race, and where's our stock now? I mean, I guess the stock went down, based on some of the numbers we reported, and then it got killed because of oh, really? Okay. I just looked at the screen. I hadn't looked at it.
This billionaire guy, he's just like, really? My stock went down. just for any leftists, because there's some stupid leftists that are making arguments as usual because they don't know anything about economics. There's like leftists and who are saying, oh, this benefits the billionaire class. These tariffs do not benefit the billionaire class. They do quite the opposite. They don't benefit anybody. We are now in a universal suffrage together. Rich, poor, middle class,
except
everybody gets fucked. Except Trump and his retarded cabinet and Elon Musk with his fucking company. And
Elon is a part of his cabinet.
Yeah, not officially, I guess, but yeah, basically, for all practical intents purposes, he is a member of the cabinet. We might as well call it. But like
bro, it's just Trump and his cabinet at this point that's benefiting. That's it.
Yeah, it's just like. And it's Trump's ego, especially, and Elon's ego. So it's really like nobody. There's other rich people. Jeff Bezos doesn't benefit. Microsoft does not benefit. Tim Cook from Apple doesn't benefit. Bob Iger or whoever the CEO is.
This is actually going to make Jeff Bezos care.
Yeah, he's gonna. Okay, I'm gonna vote for Democrat. That's next time. Jeff Bezos.
Like, I'm a powerful CEO. Time to go to my other powerful CEO friends. Yeah, this dude's screwing up our businesses, guys. Let's get him out. We control the world now.
Yeah, the reality is they don't control the world because if they control the world, none of this would happen. Like
I know if they controlled the world, then none of this would happen. But no, you bet your ass, they are pulling their funding from Trump.
Yeah, like this proves to the world that billionaires don't control the world because if they did, that none of this would have happened. If billionaires controlled the world, or more specifically, if like giant corporations controlled the world, because I mean Trump is a billionaire, but you know what I mean. Like, if corporations control the world, we wouldn't have any wars, we wouldn't have any tariffs. It would be free trade all the way because that makes the most amount of money. The fact that we have all these things tells us they don't control the world. Russia wouldn't have invaded Ukraine because that's not good for business. America would have not put fucking bilateral tariffs because that's not good for business. And China wouldn't invade Taiwan because that's not good for business. Nobody would invade anybody because it would be good for business. They care about money. But clearly, Trump doesn't just care about money, he cares about something else. He cares about his ego, his narcissism, and his power.
He got hurt last time by the American people, so he's going to make sure the American people hurt.
Yeah.
He may say, oh, this is for the American people. No, this is for us to hurt. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is indeed. Hey, this is what the American people voted for. Hey, give them what they want. He said in his campaign, he was talking about full tariffs, and people were dumb enough to fall for it. So it's like, hey, you know what? Let them suffer. Let them learn what tariffs are the hard way. I support Trump's measures because I think Americans need to learn what a tariff actually is because they don't fucking know what a tariff is. They think tariff is they pay us, or like they think we're charging them. Like they have no idea what a tariff is. So let them find out. Let them learn the hard way.
Oh boy. Oh boy. So if that's the reaction across the country, that is not going to be great. And so the question is going to be how the markets take this as it sinks in. What's going to happen over the course of the next
By the way, this might be the worst. We might experience the worst recession in our whole lifetime. Okay, we already had 2 recessions in our lifetime, 2008 and 2020. So this might be worse than all of them combined. So this might be like the worst recession since like the 1970s. So we're going to have stagflation, baby.
Is President Trump going to send out surrogates, like the Treasury Secretary, to walk some of this back, to try and point out where an off-ramp is? Or is he just going to keep doubling down on the theory that it's short-term pain for long-term gain? If so, he's going to have to explain how short-term the pain is and what exactly the long-term gain is, because that has not even been spelled out at this point. If the idea is that other countries are just going to reshore to the United States to take advantage of our markets in some way, but we will leave tariffs on stuff that they export to us, or they could just form trade blocs themselves and go make time with the Chinese.
Yeah, that's what they should do. Instead of Europe putting reciprocal tariffs on America, because nobody really wins from tariffs at the end of the day, and Europe cannot win a trade war against America. What Europe should do is pack up and leave and say, okay, America, fuck you. We're going to start trade deals with more reliable countries like Canada or China. So that's what Europe should do. They shouldn't do tariffs on America. They should just ignore the tariffs because it's Americans paying for them anyway.
All I'm saying is they see China as they've been stable for so many years, and America just goes unstable, stable, unstable, stable, unstable, stable.
Yeah, so Europe is like, fuck it, you know, like because remember Canadians were talking about putting tariffs on like American imports. That's stupid as fuck. It doesn't. Tariffs are dog shit. Okay, what you should do is just start a new trade bloc with other countries. Trade blocks with Mexico and trade block with other Asian and European countries and be more reliant on them for markets instead of being reliant on fucking America, because America's proven itself to be an unreliable neighbor. So why fucking negotiate with them? Just ignore them. Like when an employee, like remember the example I gave where the employee threatens to shoot and kill himself, right?
Yeah.
Instead of instead of threatening to kill yourself as well, just say, okay, go kill yourself. We're going to find a new employee. It's going to be difficult because you are a good employee for our business, but we'll eventually find one. So, you know, fuck
goodbye.
it. That's how you feel? Yeah, goodbye. Exactly. That's what Europe should do.
We
Europe
won't come to your
America.
funeral. See ya.
So that's what Europe should do, instead of doing reciprocal tariffs, because they're not going to win the trade war. The only country that can win the trade war is China. China is the only country that can outmatch America in the trade war. All the other countries would get destroyed if they put tariffs on American imports. So what they should do is just ignore America and start their own trade blocks, and that's it. So that's the smart thing.
Could do that. There are real-world implications for this sort of stuff. Trade wars are, in fact, not good and not easy to win, particularly if you don't actually have a plan. You actually have to have a plan. So I want somebody to lay out that plan. Seriously, you've heard me on today's show. Pretty animated about how I don't think that this is particularly good policy. So what I would love is for somebody to make the case as to why this is actually excellent policy, why this is going to be salutary for the United States, why this is going to benefit the people of the United States en masse.
I need to hide.
And if you're going to call for sacrifice from the American people, the question is, what is the thing on the other side of that sacrifice that is better and good? What is that thing? There are a lot of theories out there. Things like, well, what if we weaken the dollar? Meaning there's just less demand in international trade for the American dollar because people are tariffing us and we're tariffing them. And then when we weaken the dollar, then we can pay off our debt more easily or something like that. Well, you're not going to pay off your debt unless you grow the economy or inflate your way out.
Yeah.
That's just the reality.
Yeah.
So that's not a great answer. If the case is that we need to reshore, then what we should be doing is targeting the places where we want to reshore the most and understand that there are costs to doing that to consumers and to businesses, because that, of course, is very real. But I have yet to hear an actual explanation. What I've heard so far from people inside the administration, unfortunately, I wish this weren't the case, what I've heard so far is a lot of casting of various aspersions at foreign countries for engaging in trade with us, regardless of whether they are good or bad, because we're treating Canada the same way we're treating China here. And this is why, I think the markets are confused, investors are confused. Confusion and fear are going to breed sell-offs. That is what they're going to breed: less investment, less job growth.
This is all my fault.
This is all avoidable. It's all avoidable. What we need to hear an actual narrative, not a bunch of talking points that are generated for a cork board that is filled with statistics made up by some sort of AI.
Yeah. So.
He'll help us. I know I can make him.
Cork board. Made by AI. That's basically what it is. Destiny is doing his live. Everybody's talking about the tariff. There's nowhere to go. Like, I know some of the viewers who might watch this like, oh, why are you talking about politics? Like, bro, there's nothing, like, really, like, blame Trump. He's the one who's making this into a fucking, like, this will impact your life soon. If he doesn't back down, and even if he does back down, the rest of the world is probably going to be like, yeah, fuck this shit. We're not playing by your ball game anymore. But, like, I don't think he's going to back down. This is going to impact everyone's lives in a negative way. You're not going to benefit. Unless you want to go back to fucking 1899 and play Red Dead Redemption 2 in real life. I mean, okay, then go back to that fucking era.
I know this place.
Oh,
I can
God.
find a way out.
What a fucking joke. Definitely right now.
I'm in California. I get it up pretty damn fast, man. It works great. But no, one of the things that you're saying there, when you say the goals are the same, one of the things I like about that is that it gets back to a time when actual political conversation was possible, because the goals were in fact the same. It feels like that's increasing.
This is partly your fault, though. I'm like, Good one, Inverse Square. Inverse Square, you want to put an actual argument in chat, or are you getting perma banned? Good luck.
Like you banned me, motherfucker. Kuma Gremlin.
Like, you have the opportunity, you have a huge platform. Like, you could be an alternative, like, right-wing messenger that doesn't just buy into the fear politics of Donald Trump, but you've chosen to play part of this game. So, like, you're partly to blame for this. Like, you can't sit here and be like, oh, like, I like that this gets us back to normal political conversation. Like, okay, New Walk Church is home.
Yeah, because Ben was sucking him off for a while now. Now he's like, he's forced to change the tides. He's like, Ben Shapiro's like, I see where the tides are going, and I'm not going to be on the wrong side of history. So Ben is making the smart move, but a little too late. A little too late, Ben. Alright, anyways. That's enough video. I watched some other videos on my own time. I don't want to annoy the viewers.
I mean, all I'm doing is playing TCM and escaping. I died one time in the past 4 hours.
Can you share play with me or no?
I'm streaming.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. I'm sorry. I can watch it on your stream. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna go check something. I'll be right back. I'm gonna wash my face.
Can I use this? Had my fun yet?
Three of the killers still haven't given up.
All right. Oh, what's this? Hell yeah. Got it. What do we have here? Keeping this. Seriously?
What's up?
Nothing much.
I'm gonna leave. Cause these ones is doing too much. You should have left a long time ago. So you wanna play Marvel Rivals or?
I'll play GTA just a little bit. Just do like a few stand your grounds and then get some money on it. And then, so I'm kind of broke in GTA.
I'm not getting on GTA.
Just a little bit. Why you don't like GTA? Like I need GTA 6.
I want GTA 6 before I get on GTA.
No, we'll play Marvel Rivals today. Don't worry. The GTA gets views. Just do one GTA 5 stream. That's it. A short one, mini stream.
Why? I'm already at 4 hours on this one.
Suit yourself. I'll do stand on ground myself.
And if I'm only gonna get on GTA for what? How long? An hour, man? And then we're gonna be on Marvel Rivals for what? 2, 3, 4 hours? Yeah.
Yes. Logic. Listen. We need to go hunt the penguins. Okay, they're fucking ripping us off. We need to find them. They're tariffing us. They're putting our taxes. They're taking our jobs away. Speaking of which.
White, blue, and red orbs of light jangle and dance above the Chinati Mountains for several minutes.
Immigrants from the future arrived at the time border today, some even bringing their entire families. The purplish goo that they have on their bodies when they arrive is an ectoplasmic side effect of the time travel process. This is all giving scientists a great opportunity to learn even more about American life in the future. Chris Hall joins us now.
Oh, that's Kyle's dad, right? The one who says that? Kyle's dad is the one who says they're taking our jobs away? Or?
I know it's some random redneck.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Daryl Weathers, and I'm with the Construction Workers Union. I work with a lot of fine men who have families to feed. I don't know about you all, but we work long and hard to get our pay up to a level where we can make a decent living. And now these people from the future are showing up and offering to do the same work for next to nothing. They took our jobs. Yeah, they took our jobs. They did.
We're in the moving business. 14 years we've been working our butts off. Now these future folks come in and we can't get work nowhere. They took our jobs.
They took your jobs. Yeah. What about us in the fast food business? The restaurants are firing us because the future people work for a lot less. They took our jobs. They took their jobs. They took your jobs. Your jobs.
It's affecting kids, too. Me and my friends started our own snow shoveling business. We were trying to be responsible and make money, you know? But then the people from the future came along, and now we're out of work, too.
They took your jobs!
They took your jobs! They took your jobs!
The penguins, they took our jobs!
Yeah, we're gonna fucking tax penguins.
It's literally called the McDonald Island. That's what it's called, the McDonald Island.
McDonald's isn't gonna like that too much.
No, it's not the company McDonald's. It's like it's an Irish name. So some Irish fuck came in there and called it McDonald after himself, and then I don't know, fucking Island McDonald. Imagine McDonald's does own that island. the cheeseburger they have.
We get our work from we get our hamburgers from the penguins, motherfucker.
Yeah, the cheap labor, you know, they do it for a cheaper price, you know, they don't complain, they don't whine, they don't really
just become hamburger.
Exactly. Bro, that gotta be a meme. You gotta make a meme of that shit and be like, it's like, listen, like the montage thing when at the end you see fucking penguin. It's just penguins and Trump. Like, if there's one thing Trump is succeeding, meme culture, a lot of people are gonna get jobs from memes. You know, that's for sure. They're gonna get a lot of success from memes. He's giving a lot of meme jobs, so. That's very productive for the economy, as we can tell. You know, we need a lot of meme producers. I wonder all the people who endorse Trump, like how they feel about it, like what they're gonna say, like, hey, so you know when you endorse that guy, what do you think about him now? It's like, you know, it was one of them things. You know, we're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna talk about it. Need to girl jobs. Get ran over by a light post.
They're dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb. I guess they don't focus on noises.
Cement and steel and cable and fiber. The problem, and what we're doing at Assembly is that our laws and our processes are not set up to build at that scale. Otherwise, if people either do or frankly, they thought we were trying to do
Alright, I'm gonna jump in Marvel Rivals.
You wanna go on it now?
Yeah.
I told you, bitch, you ain't gonna be on GTA long.
It got boring. It was like, it's like a boring void. God, I wish Repo was on fucking, or at least we had access to Repo, because that game is funny as fuck. We could grind that game. It's better than Lethal Company.
Didn't you want to get Lethal Company, Normie?
Yeah, I did, but, you know, the fun is gone. Like, it's still okay, but it's not like, you know, the excitement, the trendiness. Because it lasted for like 6 months, and now it's like, you know. But Repo is like fucking hilarious. And people playing Repo, they're getting a lot of views, so there's that too. Care about the views, boom.
Oh my god, I have to help me!
Anna and Maria escaped together. Isn't that wonderful? You probably don't know the TCM lore, do you? Jabril.
Oh, you're jumping now?
No, I'm just asking. Do you know what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre lore is?
I just watched the first movie. I don't know.
I was gonna say, so you know about Maria and Anna?
I remember there's one.
Maria is the main female.
Because I remember there's a male character, skinny guy, then there's the main Texas Chainsaw guy, and then there's the old grandpa guy who's like hitting the hammer.
Main survivor chick, the girl that gets fucking brutalized.
Yeah, the one who gets away or the one who dies?
Yeah, the one that got. I don't know if Maria dies in the movie or not.
No. I don't remember. I just see them as bodies that got killed. I don't like. The only one I remember is the girl who got away. She was on the truck and she was like screaming hysterically and when the truck was away.